I'm sure that was really difficult, like that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like like you said, I could not do that. I give
Oh,
you
I would love
props.
it. Hey everyone, I'm Laura,
I'm Kristen.
and this is Souls in Bloom, where Kristen and I have open, candid conversations in hope of inspiring your personal growth and ours as well. Although today we're kind of having more of a food for thought discussion versus an inspirational thing. And Kristen was the one who came up with this topic. I'm just going to hand it over to you to tell us what the topic is about and what made you think of this and why we're having this conversation today. And don't mind me, I'm going to be drinking coffee because I'm exhausted. But go on.
No worries. Yeah, so I came up with this topic because I recently traveled. Kyle and I went to Boston, Massachusetts for my birthday weekend. And while we were out there, we were talking about traveling. And I guess it's kind of like to travel or not to travel. Like that is the question, right? Some people love to travel, some people don't. Some people don't see a point, meaning like they'd rather spend the money like on other things. So Kyle and I were actually talking about this, and I thought this would be something cool to share too, because I'm sure a lot of people have these thoughts, whether they like to travel or not, and their reasons, behind each side. So I thought that'd be really cool for us to discuss too. And anybody listening can comment like what their opinion is. So we kind of thought like me and him, we love to travel. I've always wanted to travel since I was a kid. Now, travel meaning like it could be anything. It doesn't have to be some extravagant European vacation. It could be like a little staycation, an hour away or in the next town, or, like we did was 3 hours away. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be some place that you are exploring, right? It could even be a day trip. You can look at a town a couple towns over and see maybe, oh, I want to explore that, and let's go have lunch and dinner and then just come back home.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
we love doing that. We think it's really fun. There's a lot of places that can be explored. There's history that can be learned in those places, which Kyle is a huge history buff.
Oh, is
So,
it? Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Oh, you guys
so
would definitely have to come down to Virginia then, because there's
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
history stuff down here.
we want to. We're gonna plan it, I
Yeah.
promise. So yeah, we like to obviously we enjoy going out to eat, so we try like the local restaurants. We don't really do like the chain restaurants, because you can get that anywhere. So we
Yeah.
like to try the local food. Like when we were in Boston, it was a lot of seafood. So we were trying like the lobster roll and
Lop.
all
Oh, I'm
lobster,
jealous.
all the local stuff. And it
Mm,
was it was really fun. And we were thinking like, why wouldn't people want to do this? Like, what would their reasons be? And I know for me, one of the negatives is I get homesick. Like I get homesick pretty easily and pretty quickly. So maybe that is, on people's mind. And
yeah. How many, just to interrupt, how many
yep.
days can you go on vacation before you're really like, all right, I'm done. I want to be back in my house.
Well, I can tell you from experience, because when we did our cruise last year, it
Mm-hmm.
was for 14 days.
Whew, that's a
And
long time.
yes, and by day 4, I was already feeling it. Like, I
Oh,
don't know if I
wow.
can do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. We're really far away from, home and my family. We were in Spain at that point.
Yeah.
And I just started getting like, oh my gosh, like I just want to be in my own bed. I want to have my routine back, because you have to do everything differently when you're on vacation. It's not your own setup anymore,
Mm-hmm.
living out of a suitcase basically. So, it was hard. But I knew I had a long way to go. So I was like, let me just
10 more days. Hang in there.
let me just not think about that. Let me just try not to think about that and just think about where we are, how, nobody in my family has traveled basically outside of the East Coast. never
Mhm.
mind to another country. So like this is really important. This is really like big. And it's my birthday. Like let me like it was my 40th birthday last year that we did that. And I'm like, let me focus on that. Like, let me focus on, you know, Kyle is here with me and we have these beautiful places that we're going to see. So I kind of just put like the homesickness like out of my head and I tried not
Mhm.
to think about it. And I was fine for the rest of the trip. But it wasn't easy. So I can get how that could be challenging for people, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, and you know, a lot of people that I know, like I know my one of my best friends feels this way about not liking travel because she feels like it's just so much money and you don't really get like anything materialistic out of it. It's more just like memory and experience. She
Mhm.
likes, you know, she'd rather go spend that money on like a new purse or, you know, a like put, you know, she got a car a couple of years ago, like got the car instead. She would rather have that material thing that she can like literally hold and say like this is what I spent this money on, you know?
Yeah.
And like I get that part of it, but you know, I guess she's okay with not seeing other areas and other cultures and experiencing other types of food and people. And like to me, I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned the history too. And but you know, for her, that doesn't matter to her. And and but you can get material things when you're vacationing. Like when we were in Boston, we went to that shop and I got a necklace. So now every time I wear that necklace, I'm going to think I got this in Boston, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
for sure. And then it kind of extends your feelings and everything that you had associated with the trip because you've attached that to an object. So it's like you can take it with you. It's not just this fleeting thing that like you never think about again.
right.
Or like only when you look back at pictures. Now you have something, whether it be a purse or something that you use daily or a necklace that you wear nice occasions every once in a while or something like that.
Yep.
But I get that mindset for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, even when we went to Europe, every place that we went to on the cruise, I got something material so I could be like, oh, when I wear this, I got this in Italy. And when I, you know, use this mug, I got this here. You know what I mean? So you
Hmm.
have that like material memory. So I
Yeah.
know like a lot of people say, oh, well, I can't afford it. Well, we couldn't either. We saved up for it. You know,
Hmm.
like we can't afford to just on a whim go, you know, see another state or another country. Like we have to save up for it. And
Right. Yeah.
that's a normal thing. Like not many people can just be like, hey, I feel like going to Europe today. Let's go see like
Yeah.
let's just book a plane ticket. No, like you have to save up. Like that's normal.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yep. That's a whole nother conversation we could have maybe about how to save for things like that. But
Hmm.
well, I think I feel like I've shared this before that when I really wanted a dog, my first dog, I saved up by like I made an envelope and I had put all these pictures of puppies on it that I thought were adorable. And
Yep.
this was like in my teens, so before, I had a cell phone that kept track of my money and I could like easily put things in a savings account. I was collecting physical cash and putting it in this envelope. And every time I thought about taking stuff out of the envelope for like some other use, I would see these dogs on the envelope and I'm just like, no, I really want this dog. Like, I'm not going to
Aw.
go out to eat with my friends tonight or like, whatever it was. And
Yep.
we're all eat light and, I'm only going to get an appetizer or whatever. And then
Yep.
back to the envelope it goes. Just as a suggestion, people do
Yeah.
Pinterest boards of like where they want to go, and that would
Yeah.
be an idea too. But yeah.
Yeah. So like you're saying, like come up with like a way to put away for it. And
Hmm.
Kyle and I decided that we want to travel like every year. We want to do a trip once a year.
Hmm.
And so once like last year, once we finished our trip to Europe, we already started putting away for the next one. You know,
Yeah.
so then by the time it gets close, like maybe a few months away, we can start looking at where we want to go and maybe either pay for it at that point since saving, or at least put like payments toward it. Like
Right.
cruise we're going on at the end of this year, we are paying payments toward it, and it's basically almost paid off already. So by the time
Nice.
we go, everything is, we don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
So that's another way to do it too. There are payment options with some places, not every place. Also, I think a lot of hotels will allow you to book without paying until you arrive. So you can also do that as a way to really like hold yourself to it and be like, look, we have to have this money by this date, you know, to show up and pay for it. So let's start putting away like however much you can figure out, however much a week or a month you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea too. So we know your answer then. So if someone dropped $2,000 in your lap, what would you do? Like just immediately. So it says you have to use this within the next 2 weeks. What would you do?
Yeah, I would definitely go travel and see someplace. And like I mentioned, you can get a little souvenir, at whatever place you go to.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I think travel is something either a lot of people don't want to do or can't do, or like
Yeah.
I mentioned, maybe people don't like to fly. Like my father, he will never step foot on a plane. It just scares the heck out of him. So there's maybe people like that. So I want to be like, well, you know what? I can do these things, so I'm going to. I want to see the world. I think it interests me. So that's definitely my choice. I do think a lot of what comes down to people not wanting to, because this is what we talked about too. I feel like a lot of the older generations maybe don't want to travel because back when they were growing up, traveling wasn't really a thing because like everything was a lot more, I don't want to say primitive, but not as good as it is now.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
like not
No,
as
you're
safe.
right. Yeah, there's the safety issue. There's infrastructure, the roads. We have highways now that we didn't have before. So, like, a lot of things
Yeah.
took a lot longer to get to places. We didn't have,
Yeah.
like you had mentioned before when we were talking, like navigation systems and things like that. It's a little different. Not that I actually kind of enjoyed navigating on a map, like a physical map, but maybe that's just me. Um, but yeah, and gas, finding gas stations along the way, and like you really have to
Yeah.
plan out a route to travel before. Now it's just like it's pretty easy
Yep.
to go places and fast. All the cars are faster as well, and
Yep.
yeah, there's a lot of differences from back then for sure.
Yeah. And even just as a kid, my parents would drive us down to Florida for our vacations. And, they would have the big paper map, like all unfolded,
Yeah,
like on the dashboard with like the highlighted route, that we were going to
yeah,
take.
yeah.
So I'm sure that was really difficult, like I could not do that. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I give all, like you said, I could not do that. I give
Oh,
you
I would love
props.
it. I'm hoping to do that in the near future. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, we were the same. We would travel up to Minnesota because like my mom's family, the bulk of her family was in Minnesota. So we
Mhm.
would do the same trip from Virginia to Minnesota and same thing. And then the question of like how to entertain the kids and all that too for that long of a
Yes.
ride. And
Yep.
we like I guess it was my dad. He ended up buying this like portable TV that plugged into the lighter, outlet thing. And so we would watch like movies on the way, on
Yeah.
the I mean, it was small. The screen was probably like 8 by 8 inches maybe, and the whole thing was like this giant cube.
Yep.
He made it work because he worked in audio visual stuff, so he knew all about how to hook up the video player to the TV to the car and get that stuff to work for us to keep us quiet for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But it was a
Yeah.
long trip up there. I mean, we would split it into 2 days to make it up to Minnesota.
Yep.
And we'd probably have to do that now too if we wanted to go up there with the kids because it's a trek. But I think it would take a little shorter than it did back then, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had so many like crafts and things to do, like you mentioned, like when we drove down to Florida, like all these different activities, like car activities, like little like travel games and stuff, like it was And then we'd blow through them all within the first few hours.
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
Yep. Yep. Our poor
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah. But
Nope.
then
20 hours.
came, and did you ever use MapQuest? That was
Yeah, when it first came out, yeah.
like evolving from like the paper maps when the internet came, and you can print out the directions on MapQuest, and you'd have to bring the papers with you in the car, and like it
Oh
would say travel on this road for this many miles, and I'd have to set like the trip on
yeah.
the
Yep.
dash.
Yep. Is MapQuest even around? I'm peeking on the computer. I'm just really curious. Does MapQuest still exist? They probably like sell GPS systems now. No, you can. Okay, so MapQuest is still a thing, but it's no different than like Google Maps or something like that. You just
Yeah.
type it in, and it's basically the same thing. I had to know. A little
That's so
nostalgia.
funny.
It looks a little different than it used to.
Yep.
But anyhow, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you. I think trips are invaluable, like the experience of it. And I think it's such a, as humans in general, it's like a really unique thing that we travel. Like
Yeah.
that's cool just to like go places and experience them. But I also understand that people aren't into it, you know. Like for
Yeah.
example, I personally have no desire to go overseas. Well, except for Australia. I really want to go to Australia. I
Of
love
course,
to
you pick the furthest away
I'll never make it,
country.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, you know what? We did like this study thing when we were kids in elementary school. I can't even remember what it was called. It was like a specific thing. You like hit sixth grade and you did like this cultural project. You got to pick your region and you had to do this whole presentation. Like it was like a cultural fair. That's what it was, the cultural fair. So like you made a poster board, you made like desserts to like feed other parents and stuff. And it was like cultural fair day where there was booths set up and everyone had to present on like what they learned about their country or the culture that they studied. And I studied Australia. And so ever since then, which was like I said, I think sixth grade or maybe fifth grade even, I was like, I gotta go there someday.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to go, but and then Spain would be cool too. I'd really like to see like the what is it? Those like the building. I can't even think of what the frick it's called. It's like the buildings that have like the mosaics all on the outside. What
The churches. Are they churches?
I think some are. I can't
Hmm.
even freaking. Barcelona. I'd like to go to Barcelona eventually. Would be cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's probably not going to happen. I don't have that strong of a desire to travel. I'm very comfortable at home, but I still like to get out. So when we do travel, it's typically not too terribly far, but like, you know, the thing is, I live in Virginia, right? So I could go 3 hours in one direction and be like heavily into the mountains and like experience that, or I could go in the other direction and be on the coast and like do the beach trip thing and like ocean towns and all that stuff. So, and I kind of, wherever I go, it's like a different, I feel like I'm in a different spot. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And a little further south, you can have kind of like the tropical feeling with like palm trees and stuff like that. So I just feel like, I don't know. Although I've been to Arizona, is probably my favorite place to visit. I freaking love Arizona. We talk
Yeah.
about like maybe retiring there one day or like owning. So this is pie in the sky dreaming, owning like a piece of property in Sedona because Sedona is freaking gorgeous. I love Sedona.
Yeah. I was there. It is very beautiful.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Mhm.
It's funny because Troy went for I guess it was his 21st. He did like a Vegas trip, but they went to Sedona as well. And I didn't know him at the time. I met him like a year or two after that.
Mhm.
And so we both like were there around similar time periods in our life and we both like loved it. And so now we're like, we gotta go back.
Yeah.
But anywho, all this to say is there's so much to see that like I feel like the experience is important. And I agree with you that you can bring back something that will help with the memory. And it doesn't even have to be an expensive thing. Like we went to our
Yeah.
first family trip. Our son is now 13. We only just went on our first family vacation in like the end of 2023, I think it was. And we went to the beach and I got a magnet and it's on my
Yeah.
fridge and it's of a crab. And like That's my reminder of like the good time
Yeah.
at the beach. Plus, we have like a family photo from the beach, which is nice too. But the experience was fun, and the kids loved it, and they want
Yeah.
to go back. So
And that's fine. Like even to wait that long, because I feel like I would want my kids to remember it, like I want them to be old enough to remember it, experience it, have fun, stuff like that. So, and
yeah,
then I have magnets too. Like, and look at that. Every time you open up the fridge, you're reminded of that vacation.
yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like I mentioned, the necklace that I got in Boston, it was $20, so
Yeah,
that's fine. But even like you mentioned, to stay in your own state, like just do a little staycation. It doesn't even have to be overnight. Like we went, Kyle and I, was it 2 or 3 weekends ago? We explored a few different towns in Connecticut, a half an hour from the house.
yeah,
We
yeah,
walked around the town, we had lunch, and then we found a place, drove a little further, had dinner, and then we came home.
yep.
Like it
We
was
did that.
cool.
Yeah, my birthday or the year before last, Troy and I went down to a town that's about an hour away, still in Virginia, but we'd never been there. And I was like, I kind of
Yeah.
want to go see what's down here. Like, all right. And the drive was beautiful because, like, my birthday's in mid October. So it's like the time of the year where all the trees are changing and all that. And it was a gorgeous drive. The town was really pretty, although it was like primarily a furniture store. It's very strange. It's in Farmville, Virginia, and they have like, I don't know. It's weird. If you want to get furniture, that's the place to go. But like every building is a furniture store. They had like bought out different buildings in this little like cute small town. And
Hmm.
so like I can't even remember the name of the furniture company, but they dominate that town. But apparently like people come from all over to get furniture there. It's weird.
Wow.
But I didn't know that when I went there. But anyway, but it was fun to just go and like experience something different. And we ate
Yeah.
at this restaurant that was next to this little like offshoot of the river. So there's like, water and everything right there on the deck, next to the deck. And it was nice. It was a nice experience. And I didn't bring anything back from that actually, now that I think about it, but like it was nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The memories, the feeling I had when I was down there visiting.
Exactly.
But to argue the other side, though, I can see if somebody needs something that's more expensive and they're saving up for that. Like you mentioned a car earlier, but it kind of depends. Like, are you saving up for a car that you need or a car that you want? Because those are two different things. I'm definitely the type of person that I'm going to keep my like crappy car because it still works and it gets me from
Yeah.
A to B, and it's not an arm and a leg to repair as needed.
Exactly.
So, like, I guess it depends on where your priorities are. If it's like needed, I feel like that's a different conversation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if you're
Right.
saving up for something you want, like a nicer car or a luxury purse or something like that,
Mm.
vacation all the way. Because the other thing too is like, and I've done this before where I've saved up for an item, like
Mm.
specifically jewelry, because I'm a jewelry junkie. So I've done that. And I've had jewelry that I've purchased and like I love it. I'm so excited. I
Mm.
saved up for it, I'm proud of it. I like wearing it. But it's like that feeling kind of fades. And when you have, now I'm not saying this is for everybody, like everybody would be this way, but once that like you kind of move on to something else, like now you've moved on to something else. How's that any different than the vacation that you take? And you know what I mean? Because it's not like that one piece of jewelry is going to satisfy you for the rest of your life. You're going to be like, what can I save up for next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I feel about it. That's
Yeah.
been my personal experience. I've gotten a really nice ring that I barely wear now anyway, because it's like I don't have an occasion for it and it lives in a box. I like looking at it. I have a lot of jewelry like that I just like to look at because it's pretty. But, if I could trade that for an experience, I'd probably do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I
And
agree.
it loses its luster after a while.
Hmm.
The new thing, the purse, the car, whatever. And then you're off to chasing something else. Because that's
Yeah.
just human nature. Humans aren't satisfied ever. It's true.
True. No, you're right.
Like anytime you accomplish that thing you're thinking of, like you said, you went on the vacation, it was awesome. Now you're like, all right, where we're going next?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not
I started
ever
a
gonna be.
whole Started a whole list.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you could do that. But once you hit the bottom of the list, it's not like, all right, I'm done. You'd find something new to do.
Yeah,
So, and that's
exactly.
fine. That's not a bad thing. But the point is that the physical item is no different in some ways than the experience,
True.
is how I
True.
feel about it.
Yeah. And it's obviously it's personal choice, and that's why we're talking about this. So if anyone wanted to comment, we'd love to hear it. Like, do you like to travel? Why not? And also you get to learn things when you're traveling. We mentioned the history aspect, but not just that. Like, you learn the cultural food of the place. You might learn about a new food that you can like buy in like where you are. Like, they have Spanish markets, Indian markets, all that kind of stuff.
That's
Learn a
true.
recipe. There's a lot of things that you can learn too when you travel. So
That's true.
I think that's really fun too.
I agree. Or like something even hyper like localized, like you go to a next town, but like this place is really known for their, random sandwich that's named after their best customer or something like that, something you're not
Yeah.
going to eat anywhere else.
Yep.
It's like unique to that place. Like that's
Ex-
always a fun experience
exactly.
to do.
What I really loved about Spain was the fruits and vegetables. Everything was so fresh and so perfectly ripe and grown right there, because it's like on average 75 degrees all
Oh,
year
yeah.
round.
That's great growing conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, so like all their produce and vegetables, fruit, everything was delicious. They had fruit markets on like every street, and obviously they have different fruit there than we have here. So it
Hmm.
was really cool to try all the different fruits and stuff, and everything was so inexpensive because it's grown there and you don't have to import it anywhere, export it anywhere. So
Yeah.
that's really fun too, to try like the local stuff, like you mentioned, stuff that you can only get at certain places.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
awesome. So did you have any experiences like that in this recent vacation to Boston? Any like unique
Well,
experiences, general food or otherwise?
yeah, I mean, we have seafood in New York, but it's better in Boston or places that it is caught like right there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So super fresh, super tasty, and it's just a little different. It's obviously a little bit better, you
Yeah.
know. So I did really like that, and like we went to Rhode Island too. You get you get the food that is local to there because it's the best. So Rhode Island is right there on the coast too. So the seafood is always really great, really fresh, because it's caught literally like right there.
Yeah.
Instead of farm to table, it's like sea to table.
Yeah. I'm so jealous. I love seafood. So like, oh, I
Mhm.
need to go do that. I
Yeah.
do every once in a while get some crab though, which, blue crab is like my all-time favorite food. I'm lucky to live close enough that it's relatively fresh, but
Kyle's favorite is king crab legs.
oh yeah. I've
And
never had king crab, which is crazy because crab's like my favorite. I love snow
yes.
crab. I love like I said, blue crab's my favorite. I've never had
Mhm.
king crab because I can't rationalize like because it's expensive. At least around here, it's
Mhm.
really pricey. But I've
Yes.
heard that it's like worth it. Like you feel like you
Mhm.
get full from it because crab is kind of
Mhm.
a hard thing to get full off of sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and it's harder to find, which is, you would think it'd be easy because, when you live on like a coastal area, but it's really only native to Alaska. Like, it's the
Yeah.
Alaskan king crab. So that's on the complete other coast. So
Yeah.
for them to get it like where we were in Boston, it has to be like shipped, and I don't know if they freeze it. Like, I don't know how long like it would last fresh. Like, I have no idea. But
Yeah.
out of all of the restaurants in Boston, which there are a lot, there's like one every 50 feet, only only two had Alaskan king crab legs. And
Really?
yeah, and we went to one
Huh.
of them because, that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
But even when we were in Rhode Island, not one restaurant had that.
That's
And
wild.
we asked the waiter, and he said because you get it in Alaska, by the time it comes here, it's usually frozen and it's not considered fresh anymore, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's a long trip, so I'm sure they don't
yeah.
really have to freeze stuff. Yeah. Hmm. You've put that back in my mind. Now I'm like, you know what? I need to I need to experience king crab. I've never had it before.
Yeah. It's good. I think it might be a little sweeter maybe than like the regular, like you mentioned, blue crab. I think it might be a little bit sweeter.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that sounds good to me.
And obviously bigger. Like the crab legs are probably almost as long as my arm. Like they were pretty big.
That's huge.
Yeah. And you got
Yeah.
two of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How do they serve it? It's just like all falling off the plate. Like, how do you get that at a
It
restaurant?
was like a big oval plate. And
Yeah.
then like the two, I mean, it wasn't exactly as long as my arm, maybe from like, where my shoulder to like my wrist, maybe
Yeah.
that
But it's
long.
still huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got two of them. So yeah, they were like hanging off, the plate. But
Yeah.
it's not, there's no claw or anything. It's just like the long leg, like a spider leg, you know. And it
They
was
have those
funny.
too, spider crabs. But anyway, go on.
Yes. So they gave him a bib, they gave him gloves, they gave him the cracker, to crack the shell and pull it out and stuff, and the little
Yeah.
fork and everything. He's
That's
like
so funny.
he's like, I'm not wearing the gloves. He's like, but I'll wear the bib.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to keep those
Oh
threads
wait.
clean.
Well, if anyone's watching on YouTube, I'll show you the picture because I took a picture of him with
Oh
his
my God.
bib on.
He's like a
Where
bit
is
mad,
it?
is he?
Oh, okay,
You
so
showed me
they
big picture.
they folded the crab was like cut in half, so it doesn't exactly hang off like completely,
Yeah.
but you can kind of get an idea.
It's so big. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And
That's
and this,
hilarious.
like, but yeah.
That's so funny. Well, you got to put it there. You go, so we can see his face in there too. He's like, heck yeah, I got the crab. Mission
Yeah.
accomplished.
That was funny. And it was very good. I don't like cracking the shell. I think it takes too much time. I don't have the patience.
That's Troy.
So,
He's like, he's like, I like blue crab meat, but I don't like picking the
mhm.
whole crab to get this tiny amount of food out of it. Like, oh,
Yep.
me, I'm like a barbarian, like using my teeth and everything to break this stuff open. I
Yep.
love it.
So I'll just be like, I'll try a piece once you get it open for me, like
Yeah.
then you can get it.
Make him do all the labor. You
Exactly.
reap the rewards. That's hilarious.
That is funny.
So, where are you guys planning on your next vacation? You said you have a cruise at the end of the year?
Yep. So in October, we are going to a cruise to Bermuda.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
and
That's
that's
exciting.
only, I don't remember if it's 5 or 7 days, but it's shorter.
Yeah.
And because I don't think I could do that 14-day again. Like that was, not
Yeah. That's
only
a
was
lot.
it long, but it was exhausting.
Yeah, I bet. And then
Yeah.
you kind of like it taints the end of your trip because you're like, you're done. But
Yep.
like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Because the last like 2 days from that vacation, we were just so exhausted. We couldn't even like explore anymore. Like we were just done.
yeah.
So this one, I don't remember if it's 5 or 7 days, but we're leaving right from New Jersey, hopping on the cruise and going down to Bermuda and spending 2 days at Bermuda and then cruising back. Whereas when we went to Europe, we flew to Spain
Hmm.
and then picked up the cruise ship and did Spain, a couple places in Spain and a couple places in Italy.
Yeah.
So the flight was just horrible. Like 8 hours on a plane was absolutely horrible. Like,
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah.
so we decided let's cruise to the place this time.
Yeah.
So we
That's
could be, yeah, up walking around, doing whatever, and it'll be a lot better than sitting in a seat for
yeah.
hours.
Yeah. Ugh, I don't blame you. And
Yeah.
yeah, we going back to like vacationing with kids, we're definitely because of the baby. He's kind of put like a wrench in all the plans because we were talking about vacationing again this year with the kids. Like I really wanted to take them somewhere because the beach trip was so successful. And then more recently we took them to like a fancy restaurant and they were so good at the restaurant. They're like, we got to do this more. Like we did it to kind of dip our toes in to say like, can they handle the nicer
Yeah.
experiences? And so we wanted to take them again, but then now with the baby, it's like, okay, well, we kind of have to wait to travel because he's so little. But now it's like I have the same thought, like, well, we'll go on like the bigger vacations once the kids are older. Well, now I have like this weird situation where like three of my kids are old enough, and now I got this baby. So like I don't want to do with him what I did with the other kids, which is just wait because you know, I don't know. I like my bigger kids are going to miss out on stuff then because if they're going to wait for their younger brother to catch
Yeah.
up and like be old enough to remember stuff. That's like 4 or 5 years down the road minimum,
True.
you know.
Yeah.
And then my oldest is going to be almost an adult by then. So it's like some of these vacations he's not even going to want to do. Like for example, going to Disney is something I'd really like to take the kids to do at some point. And we might have the opportunity to do that next year. And it's like, well, we're going to have to figure out how to do this with a baby in tow.
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as the baby is old enough to like where you don't have to like hold him all the time. You know,
yeah.
I think if as long as he's in the stroller or whatever and can see everything, I'm sure that would be great. Imagine, oh my gosh, I could just imagine him so like enamored by everything, all the lights and the big buildings. Like I can just picture his cute little face like
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he closer, a year from now, he'll be ready, I think, to
yeah.
experience things a bit. Although newborns are kind of somewhat easy because you can just strap them on, but it's this unpredictable sleep schedule is just like, rough. And then, having to figure out where to change diapers and all that stuff. It's just easier to be at home in the early days, but I'm really missing not going on vacation this year. And Troy was saying like, because I was like, we should go somewhere. And then logically, I'm like, this isn't a good idea to do yet. And he was saying, well, rather than using our vacation money this year to vacation, maybe we could like have an event here at the house and have a party basically. Rent a bounce house or like something specific for the kids that is like out of the norm.
Yeah.
And just have like a big old party. So now that's something that we're kind of considering.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. That might be something to consider as well. If someone doesn't want to leave to go on vacation, maybe they can make an experience at their house.
Yep.
Or if they're unable to for some reason.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of different things that you can rent now or hire people to come and do. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but neither is vacations.
Or even like a zoo trip, like if you have a zoo near you. Like I love going to a zoo. Like I love seeing all the animals,
Yeah, that's true. We did go to the zoo a couple years back, but my youngest was too young to remember it. I think maybe it would be a good time to go. I appreciate that suggestion. I think we might have to do that. Who doesn't love the zoo? We went there and we did their favorite thing, or at least I think it was their favorite thing, was they had this like the budgie cage. It's like parakeets basically in this big netted area. And there's like hundreds of parakeets. And you go in with this like little popsicle stick that has like seeds at the end of it with peanut butter, like a little mini bird feeder, and they'll like come and land on your hand and like eat from the stick and stuff. And
oh my God, see, I would love that.
Yeah, that was a cool experience. I loved it. It's like I felt like Snow White. All the birds around me. The kids were into it too.
Kyle and I keep trying to get out to Long Island, which from us it's probably is about 3 hours one way. So for a day trip it might be kind of hard, but they have an aquarium out there where you can obviously you pay extra for it, where you can sit with the penguins and they're like the little guys, not like
Yeah.
the big ones. And you can sit with them, and you can like they just come up to you. You can pet them. You can take pictures with them. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
cool.
I want to do that.
That's awesome. You know what would be cool to do there is like a vow renewal or something amongst the penguins and like get photos
Oh,
of you like in your little wedding dress. Like, I don't know. I'm imagining that their enclosure is like or not tropical, like snowy themed or something. It'd be pretty to
yes.
like
Yeah.
have a nice white dress amongst all the I just went to a totally different place with this
No,
in my head, but
that sounds
it would be
awesome.
cool. Yeah. That's something we've been thinking about too, is a vow renewal. Or at least I have. Like how that would be cool to do that and then have a big party or something like that.
Yeah.
It's our 15 wedding anniversary. 15 years is coming up next year.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
seems like a good time to do it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That's another
Start thinking.
thought. I know. But anyway, I think I'd rather vacation. Because like, oh my gosh, if we end up going to Disney, because basically we got invited there by my brother and his wife because she's going down there for a conference. And they're going to be like at Disney for the conference.
Nice.
And so they're like, you should come too. So we can like have like a family meetup while we're down there. And it's like, that sounds so fun. However, a family of 6. Now the baby would probably be free for everything because they don't usually charge for infants. But
yeah,
a family of 6 going to Disney plus either renting a car or buying plane tickets. Like, and then, I mean, either driving down, all the fuel for that and how much time that's going to take, and entertaining all the kids on like a 17-hour drive or however long it is. I'm not sure. It's somewhere between 12 and 17 hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then like, or we could fly, but then we got to pay for that and then rent the car down there and blah, blah, blah. It's just like,
it's a lot.
My gosh, it's a lot. I mean, even just Disney, I just looked into Disney tickets. It's like 100 and between 120 and 150 for a day per person.
Yeah.
So there's 5 of us, and that's like just a ticket. That's not food. That's not, lodging or any of the other days that were there. That would just be one day. So we got all the other days to think about.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It adds up quick, that's for sure.
Yeah. Especially with such a big family. So I don't know. That's a lot of money. But on the other hand, I do want my kids to have those experiences, and I like to have them too. But like, I have fond memories of being young and going places, especially up, like I said, we used to go to Minnesota. We used to go to the Mall of America. And like, I have really fond memories of going to Mall of America. And even if you don't specifically remember, like as a kid, if you're trying to like treat, your family or whatever, even if you don't specifically remember what you did and the experiences or like these specific moments, you have a feeling, like you remember the feeling a lot of times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like,
for sure,
that's something you can recall and like bring back those feelings. You're like, oh, that was so much fun. And like, you have that. So it's not like you're totally empty handed when you go on vacation. I guess in a physical aspect, if you don't get a souvenir, you might be empty handed physically, but you do, you bring things back. We're very biased. I would love to talk to somebody who doesn't want to go on vacation and like hear their opinion on that and why. And some people, it's probably a physical incapability, like they physically, it's hard to mobilize or whatever.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. But.
Yeah. But I mean, if you really want to go, see if you can make it work. I had my grandmother as an example. She really wanted to go to Vegas before she died. And my mom was her like escort to Vegas. So she went out to Vegas with her so my grandma could go gamble on slot machines. And she went in a wheelchair. Like my mom helped her the whole way. She said it was kind of rough for her being in the car at some point and things like that. But she was glad she got to do it, one more time.
Yeah.
And although she was a little annoyed about the slot machines, because by that point, a lot of them were changing, because they used to be just the like handle pull, which is what she wanted. And a lot of them are electronic now.
Yeah.
Which personally, I think is weird. I would never play on an electronic machine, but that's
just press the button.
Yeah.
Press the button.
I just feel like they got to be rigged. Like, I mean, I know the other ones are rigged too, but it feels more randomized when it's like mechanical versus like the machine that could be programmed to be like, okay, they've won too much. Let's stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So I'm a little like, I don't trust you. I don't even, it's not random luck anymore now. It's programmed. So, but anyway, so she wasn't a fan of that. But she made it work. And this is from Virginia. But yeah. And she still wanted the experience over the thing. But probably the older you get, and I mean, like she knew her days were numbered, so she wanted the experience over the physical item. Because what are you going to do with that? The closer we get to the end of things, the less physical items are as important, I think.
Yep. Very true.
Anyway, that was bleak. Why did I go there? I don't know. Sorry, I was just trying to make a point with my grandma. Oh my gosh.
I guess just if you want to make it work, you'll find a way to make it work. And if not, that's cool too,
Yeah.
We were just here to talk about our opinion.
Yeah, which apparently we're completely on the same page. Exactly. Sorry, you didn't get two different sides today. Excuse me. All right. Well, I guess that pretty much closes out that conversation. But I would like, if you guys have different opinions, please comment below. I love, I love hearing somebody else's opinion on things like this. I want to know. Why is vacationing a bad idea? And not just anywhere. I understand some places are dangerous or blah, blah, blah. But like, we're talking about vacationing close, just traveling close to the house and just doing a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it.
That wraps it up.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with another one. So, yep. We'll hope to see you guys then. Bye.